Hello and welcome back to Hoteliers Voice. And in this episode, we're going to be looking at ESG, environmental, social and governance. Combating waste, driving efficiency and supporting communities. I'm Ryan Haynes. I'm going to be joined by Renee Nicole Wagner, PhD, Corporate Director ESG and Quality Management at Orascom Hotels Management, where we'll be looking at how they embedded ESG programs within the organization, developing and building and engaging stakeholders, and targeting key areas for immediate impact. We'll also explore the cultural challenges and the types of technologies and systems that really support and help with managing and monitoring ESG.
Hoteliers Voice from Travel Market Life, exploring opportunity in hospitality with Ryan Haynes. Hear from the people making a difference, from revenue to operations, marketing to digitalization. Learn the thinking behind their decisions.
Okay, joining me now is Dr. Renee Nicole Wagner. Thank you ever so much for joining us today. So really interesting area, this area of ESG. Tell us to start off with, how long have you actually been involved with it and why?
I've been involved in ESG since about 15 years, which is quite a long time. And it came out, it's my passion. It's not only my job, it's my passion. So I think then when you discover that you have a passion for something and you work in that field, it's luck. It's pure luck.
It's clearly, the reason why it's clearly a passion is that you got the doctor in front of your name and you got a PhD after it. So you went through a lot to get there, and that obviously takes a lot of commitment. What was it that really drew you to that and took you on that journey to go, you know what, I'm going to do a PhD in this?
I never wanted to go to university after school. And then I realized, having done a work period in an agency for a sport organization, that I quite well in organizing things, organizing events and communication. And this hit me to go to university and to do my studies. And I'm quite confident and quite fascinated in doing things from the beginning till the end.
Right.
So I did, which is part of my life. Coming from sport field as well, having been a professional sportist in younger years for about 7 years. So you know your goals, you know you treat yourself to the end of the goal and far further, and you're not going to stop in front of your goal. And so I decided to do the whole university career.
Absolutely fascinating.
Which bring me to my university background.
So now you're working at Orascom Hotels Management. Tell us a bit about Orascom.
Orascom is coming from an Egyptian traditional family. They built it up years ago, more than 30, 40 years ago, in the field of development. And the hotel part is one part of the Orascom development company. And I'm working within Orascom since January 2024 now. We do currently have more than 30 properties, most of them or all of them in none of the European Union, which is quite interesting in terms of ESG. So we do have our properties in Switzerland, in Montenegro, Oman, and Egypt.
Absolutely fascinating. Now, you and I met at the International Hotel Technology Forum 2025, and there are some really fascinating nuggets of information that you gave me, and I'm going to draw each one of them out in this conversation. So, start off with ESG is a pretty new area. I mean, yes, there's been a lot of talk about it the last 20 years, but there's been more investment by enterprises in making sure there's divisions and directors in this role. You've been there since 2024. Tell us, was it a new role you went into? How is that the role of ESG being formed, and how is that evolving right now?
Well, it was a completely new created role, which makes things on one side easier because you can develop your own strategies, what I did as well. It makes things challenging as well because you don't have any index where you can look at. So you have 2 points, you have the pros and the cons. But for me, it turned out that it was the right decision to help supporting a company, a team in creating something new, in giving the baby steps into it to develop those baby steps into bigger steps at the end of the journey.
I mean, as you say, a new role, therefore, a new person for people to recognize, but also a strategy to implement across their divisions. You said baby steps. What were the initial baby steps then in order for people to understand what you were there to do and what they needed to do for you?
Well, the first baby step was to create a common ESG strategy or common ESG guidelines. That was one of the initiatives I had to do and one of the first baby steps, which is a huge step because it's not something like writing a guideline. It's not done in between 5 minutes and more than 30 properties in 4 different countries, which are cultural and environmental completely different to each other. It's challenging, but it's a good opportunity as well to extend your knowledge.
No, that's the interesting part because that was one of the things that really pricked my ears up when we were talking. It was the 4 different countries, but most importantly, these cultural challenges that you experience. And I know we're going to have people who are going to be listening to this who might work with a portfolio of EMEA properties, or those that come from a certain cultural background and are working in a different country and therefore might have different perspectives and understandings. So tell us, what have you noted? Particularly some of the key differences and cultural challenges that you're addressing around the world?
Well, when you're located in Europe, you know all the regulations coming from the European Union. And again, we don't have yet any hotel in the European Union. What does not mean that we are not affected by the regulation coming out from the European Union. But European Union and Europe are more or less common. And then on the other side, you do have your properties in Oman and in Egypt, which are far away from regulation that we know here in the European Union, in Europe. And one of the biggest challenge was for me to accept that there are different knowledge steps done by the governmental side, which are not affected, and other things that have been done due to the proper DNA. When we talk about DNA, when we talk about especially the S in ESG, which is my passion, the bigger part of my passion, the social part in Egypt and Oman, it's far easier to commute than in Switzerland and in Montenegro, which sounds weird, but which I discover is part of their life DNA. They are used to sit together with their families. They are used to sit together with their communities. We in Europe, we are not that familiar with our communities. We know probably our neighbor in the flat where we live. But do we really know our community? No. Which is, again, not the case in Egypt and in Oman. And this is something which is quite challenging, interesting as well, because we can learn a lot from those countries.
Absolutely.
So regulation on one side is good, but social part and life experience, DNA, cultural DNA, I think for me is higher weighted than the legislation part.
So as you said to begin with, it was really understanding those baby steps, setting up some sort of plan and strategy of action that could work across the group and really be really be taken on board by the internal stakeholders. So if you could tell us then, Dr. Renee, what were or some of the key target areas that really offer opportunity for immediate impact and success? Maybe perhaps within your business or what you see across the hotel and hospitality industry?
Well, I think the first thing is to educate the teams, to share knowledge, to raise awareness. Because if the teams does not have awareness, never mind which topic you are talking about, the machine is not running. So one of the first things we did, we implemented an academy of change, an academy to learn about ESG. ESG as ESG part and not related only to hospitality, which helps everyone to understand, okay, this is part of sustainability. This is part of ESG, and this is not just like 3 letters. And I think this is something very useful and very helpful for everyone to start sharing awareness and to share knowledge and to educate your team. Because if you have not educated your teams, they don't know what you are talking about and they don't know what guests, clients, suppliers, communities are talking about and how they need or could or should answer. And when they understand the topic, they live the topic as well. And this helps to run your machine.
Certainly a common theme that I see across any strategic change is, as you say, that educational part. Once you've got the educational part, or obviously that's always going to be ongoing there across the teams, what's the next areas? Where do you particularly look at then for having that impact of the contribution to ESG?
Well, there are different projects we have been launching or we have launched. So there are projects related to the S part, to the social part, in saying, okay, we're going to support 5 common international worldwide days, such as blood donation days, such as September 29th, in raising awareness toward food waste and food loss, all those kind of things, to really engage the entire teams on this side. On other side, we have launched some projects in reducing the water consumption, energy consumption, which is quite difficult in countries like Oman and in Egypt, where you cannot drink the tap water, while here in Switzerland, you can use the tap, you can drink the tap water without any doubt. You can do it in Oman and in Egypt, but you do it only once and never again. So trying to set up different projects based again on different attitudes and different methods of culture as well. We have launched projects in as everyone probably reducing and eliminating wherever it works single-use plastic items. We are trying to have some ESG breakfasts or buffets as well, in focusing on local, seasonal and regional fruit, vegetables, all those kind of things. So it's a huge part of project. I could name you far more.
Thank you. I mean, some of those are absolutely key. I mean, one of them, which I was always fascinated by, is the whole water thing, because I think that there is a danger, or there has been this danger, and perhaps we're starting to see it now, is that, examples have been overused and exploited negatively. Because I made the whole point. I was at a conference a few years ago, and one of the big global hotel chains were talking about their ESG, and they were saying about, water and how they were going to offer tap water to all their guests. And I proceeded, because we were in one of their hotels, to go and try to get some tap water. And the receptionist came back with 2 bottles of water. And I was just like, well, this isn't exactly what the guy told me. I was meant to be getting tap water from the bottle that I had taken to the reception desk. But we were in Turkey. And it made complete sense, as you just said. There are some countries in the world that don't yet have the same level of water hygiene and tap water in the same way we do, say, for example, here in the UK. And the same thing you see in Spain as well. They predominantly drink bottled water, and that's where people get all their water from, and not from the tap. And it is a cultural thing, and there is that danger, I guess, of oversimplifying ESG.
Yeah, absolutely. There are things working well in one country which are not at all working in other countries. And for us, it's usual. For us, there are different topics that are so DNA-like. We are used to drink the tap water. And again, you could do it in Oman, but you do it only once and never again.
No, absolutely. And that's just really interesting to learn. Now, Orascom Hotels Management is not just managing all those properties that you have, but you're also developing new projects. Tell us about the process of incorporating ESG in new builds and new hotel and hospitality projects.
Well, I do have currently one example that I can share. We are currently building a new hotel, and I've been not really involved. But on the other side, I do share my knowledge and my contacts in different departments as well, with different departments as well. When it comes to light, when it comes to building the hotel, when it comes to furniture, all those materials, they are far more opportunities in including ESG at the beginning than at the end of the story. So this is how I'm currently incorporated or involved in new projects, sharing my knowledge, sharing my contacts, and giving some hints.
Excellent. That's good to learn, because I've certainly spoken to a number, and people can listen to some of my podcasts, Hoteliers Voice, where I've spoken about some of the sort of ESG initiatives, and the importance of really incorporating it from the beginning, and really understanding sort of the implications it has as well, particularly on retrofits, because that can be quite costly when you go back through and do that. Now, what two pieces of advice would you give hoteliers when it comes to addressing ESG, and keeping on top of perhaps the evolutions and changes around sort of general understanding and corporate direction of ESG?
Well, I would recommend everyone to jump on the train of ESG right now, even though it's cost intensive. But when you're not jumping on the train today, in 5 days, 7 days, 7 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, you're going to discover I lost the train, and then it's going to be cost intensive. But because probably your guests, your supplier are going to go away because you haven't done anything in ESG. So my recommendation is really jump on a train now, give them money to the right projects, and look what's going to happen in a couple of years.
Excellent. Dr. Renee, thank you ever so much for joining us today and really sharing your expertise and insights in and around ESG. It was wonderful to chat to you again after the IHGF earlier this year in Portugal.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. So that was Dr. Renee Nicole Wagner there from Orascom Hotels Management. You'll be able to check out more of our Hoteliers Voice episodes on Travel Market Life, or go to the website travelmarket.life. We've got a load of new events, by the way. I'm going to be hosting an event every couple of months in person. It's a social interactive networking session. So please look out for that by joining our newsletter, subscribing to our newsletter, or on our LinkedIn page, travelmarket.life. You can also follow me on LinkedIn as well, Ryan Haynes. I'm your host. Thanks for listening.
For more, go to Travel Market Life. The music sensation by Zach Nelson is reproduced under license from Storyblocks. Travel Market Life is a Haynes Marcoms digital marketing agency production, serving the travel and technology industries.